Okay, we're back. um, so if we're looking at the, let's say we're looking at the Mixolydian, so that you can see that 5 there is our starting point for the Mixolydian. Okay, and we're going to go around, the circle there. Do whatever we have to do. Um, we're going to go C to A. We could go C to A shape there. All right, so it'd be like that. We could start on the A shape, it's the inner note. Let's get over here to our pattern. So this is a little bit from yesterday's chart that I didn't really get to spend enough time on because I had technical difficulties. I mean, I was going to do a systems restore on this computer until I found out I was going to have to reinstall like 30 programs or something, and I just didn't want to do that. And apparently by starting a systems restore and doing a few things on it and running some virus scanners, she's back up fast as ever, so no reason to buy a new computer about it, because it takes a month to get a new computer, get all the software on it and everything. Well, it could take a few days. So starting note, fit, modal, scale, starting note. If we want to do a Mixolydian, okay, that's your modal fifth on the ivories, if you want to call them. See, Aeolian, Lydian, Mixolydian, Aeolian, Locrian, Ionian. Okay, so that's your modals. It's same shape on the ivories, on the white keys on a piano, and I just affectionately call them the ivories because they used to have ivory keys, and they don't do that anymore. Everything's some sort of a tempered plastic and everything like that these days, which is fine with me. Some keyboards are actually weighted. They're weighted down, the keys, to simulate real ivory keys, but I think that's unnecessary, So I'm pretty light on the keyboard because there's practically no resistance when you play. It's mostly the velocity that you hit the keys with that determines its loudness, if you have that. So let's look at a scale here. If we're going to start a Mixolydian, all I'm saying is that in this particular case, Mixolydian's on the top. That might not be good. So let's look at Phrygian, because we can go right up this little diagram with a Phrygian. So here's a Phrygian third. Okay, it's going to be pretty much the lowest. Okay, so that would be like so our Phrygian, we want to do a diatonic now, because if we just do a triad, or even a like a Phrygian pentatonic, which would be your C, now incidentally, the Phrygian pentatonic, you would want to follow the Mixolydian pentatonic there, like that. Okay, so we don't want to do a Phrygian pentatonic. We just want to do a Phrygian diatonic, which is going to be, because like I said before, and let me make sure I get this right. Alright, so doing a Phrygian pentatonic, it would sound something like this. I'd have to go starting from the Phrygian third, like that, and then go into a root-shaped Mixolydian pentatonic. Notice that's different than, similar but different, and that's because we don't want to just play mush. Mush is Okay, we want to play. And then for the Lydian, we'd actually do the Lydian pentatonic in itself is that. Now we have to go up an octave unless you want to start it from this note. Lower than your fret nut here would be. Okay, so let's just talk about, because this was a true modal. You're not doing a modal unless you're doing diatonic. Although I affectionately call these guys up here modal. I call these my modals. They're kind of like alphabet soup up here. But I don't expect you to play any diatonics up here. These are familiar chord shapes. So we have a C chord shape, and then the D minor, the E minor, the E major shaped F. All right, and the G major shaped G. That's G shaped G key of C. Okay, and then the familiar A minor shaped A minor. All right, but when you go into, let's say, the G cage, the neighboring cage, a fifth away, 2 caged letters. And by the way, just a digression here, when you're thinking cage, and I always think cage, I think of the word cage written somewhere in my head, C-A-G-E-D. But just for practice, for mental practice, you can look at C as caged as just playing the notes of cage. So it would be C-A-G-E-D. Okay, now with the capo on here, this is where your guitar is pretty much. So you'd want to start that C a little higher, so you can start it here. It would be C-A-G-E-D. That spells cage. C-A-G-E-D. Alright, and then the opposite of cage is a pentatonic scale. So starting on C, it would be C, D, E, G, A. So you can imagine that scale in your head. When you think of, you want to see what's the next letter to go to. So in caged, if I wanted to, excuse me, go from, excuse me, have you seen my go from? Just a little joke there. If I want to go from C to A, okay, a C to G cage, that would be the fifth. I can count the word caged. So this is just with the printed letters now, C-A-G, like that. Or I can think of a descending pentatonic scale on the piano, C-A-G-E-D, C. So you can think of that in your head. I need this C going to this A, going to this G. Why? Because if you skip every other letter, and this brings us over to here, if you skip every other letter in the pentatonic scale, you get fourths. Okay, so it would be C, D, E, G, A, that kind of thing. Or you're going in caged. All right, so what did we were at C and we wanted to get to that G. You skip every other letter, you get that fifth, but you do the cage in your head. And I'm saying, instead of in your head looking at this printed letter, okay, we'll look at something else. So here we got it. It's like this little colored piano octave. So we've got C, A, G, E, D. So starting on C, we skip the A and we go to G. You could mentally look at that piano in your head, or the guitar as I played it. And that's what I'm doing. Even with the word caged, it spells out so easily, to try and strive to look at it as a descending pentatonic scale. And caged reversed is an ascending pentatonic scale in the key of C or your favorite key.